Hello, hello, beautiful people. It's your brother Major here, my mama's favorite hope dealer, and I want to welcome you to yet another episode of The Hope in Between with Major and my good sister, Eunice Elliott. Eunice, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling strong, a little tired, but strong, feeling good, looking uh quickly towards 2025, but got some business to handle. Last few weeks of 2024. I'm excited.
Yeah, I too am feeling a bit tired, but I, like you, also feel pretty productive. It seems like we're in the thick of it in the last final stretch, and we are being put to the test.
To the
Are we going to
test.
finish strong or what?
No options other than to finish strong. Yes. Yes.
That's it. That's it. That's it. No
So what
other
you do this
option.
weekend? Were you on the road again?
Absolutely on the road. I was in DC this past week, practicing and rehearsing for a stage play, an annual stage play musical called Some Way Somehow, a Christmas production at First Baptist Church Glen Arden. And it was very intense. I'm very excited about it. For those that are interested, you can get your tickets because uh, by the end of this week, the 16th, no, the 13th through the 15th, it will be up and available for all of the city, the world to see. You can get tickets at swshthemusical.com. Um, Myself, Kimberell, Jonathan McReynolds, some super amazing talent. Anthony Brown is one of the co-creators and writers of it. So it's just a lot. It's a lot. I have a 11-minute song in it.
What?
11 minutes of singing and talking. It's a really fun song, but it is a lot of language. I'm not the best with memorization, so I'm gonna have to really lock in. I do memorize pretty strongly under extreme pressure, but I hate the feeling. So we'll see what happens.
This is your prep for Broadway, I guess.
Honestly, it's that level.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at this massive church in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, called First Baptist Church of Glen Arden. It's huge, like it's massive, but the it's not just your typical church play. This
Uh-huh.
is real lights, camera, and action, high level. The talent is brilliant. Josh Jenkins is the co-writer as well with Anthony and director. It's some really great stuff. I'm grateful to be a part of it. I have the part that David Mann did last year. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
How sweet. Well, I cannot wait to read the reviews.
And prayerfully, it's he knew every line and he knocked it out the park.
We've been sleeping on Major. I'm pretty sure that's what it's gonna say. He's not a new talent, but we're discovering his talent newly. So I look forward to it.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. Um, yeah, so we'll get more into, some of the rest of what we've been up to after we do what we always do before we really, really get into it, and that's catch our breath. So, to the person listening and to the person watching, let's catch our breath together. On the count of three, deep breath in. One, two, three. Let it out on three. One, two, three. Deep breath in. Let it out. This time, consider all of the things that are on your agenda, your to do list, all of the tugs and the pulls and the expectations, the good, the bad, the sideways, the in betweens. Take it all in and let it out. That right there is surrender. Let's be mindful, beautiful people, not to let life rush us so much so that we forget to catch our breath. That is the reward of life. Catching your breath gives you Time for pause and reset and recalibration. And it mandates life to follow your lead. It's a beautiful gift. And I want you to lean into it, to the mamas, to the dads, to the families, to the sons, the daughters, the folks at work, wherever you are watching. Catch your breath, please. And thank you. All right. So let's get a little deeper into it. So you were on tour, and I think y'all made a big announcement of an end to a and a beginning. Talk about it.
Yes, yes. So we finished 2024. We had our final stops in Florida. So three
Okay.
different cities: Fort Myers, St. Petersburg, and Pensacola. Great shows, great fun. But that's it for this year. We'll start back up in about 5 weeks, and so I'm looking forward to the break.
Come
We've been
on,
going.
get put the clap track in
Oh
there.
wait, oh wait. That's right. Hold on, I'm
I'll do
slipping.
it until
Okay.
you get it. Yes, listen, you deserve all of the applause.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so it's my first time committing to this much of a tour. It started in September, and to make it to December, we'll have the break, and then it'll go from January to May. And it's actually a 3-year tour. So we'll see how long I can last. But
3 years.
yeah.
Oh my
So a
goodness.
blessing. And in addition to other things I'm working on, that's part of my planning for 2025 is still having so many other things I'm working on and that I'm pursuing, and trying to see how everything can fit in. Will it all fit in? But just being excited and not knowing what's next, but knowing it's all good. But no, it was a good weekend. The shows are very well attended, and the audience, they I'm traveling with the headliner. His name is Matt Matthews. He's a TikTok star. So a lot of his followers are people who have
Okay.
farms and chickens and animals, and they probably have never been to a comedy show. So it's like a lot of times they're like, I've never been to a place, and everybody's just in the room laughing. It's like, yeah, it's a comedy show. So it's fun to be a part of people's first experience that way. It's been cool.
That's
It's
incredible.
been
I've
cool.
seen you in real time, and you're really amazing. So I can only imagine how excited
Oh,
they
thank
are,
you.
especially for it being their first time. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now listen, you were in DC in a small world in DC. I saw you quoted me and gave me credit.
I
Talk
did.
about
I
that.
did. I did quote and give you credit while on Good Day DC on Fox 5. Some incredible folks. My sister Marissa was one of the co hosts that made sure that I was on the show, and also a buddy of yours.
Yes.
And remind me his name. I remember his last name is
Steven
Gladdick or Gaddick or something like that.
Graddick, Stephen Graddick.
Yeah, Graddick. Yeah, he was super cool too. The both of them. Yeah, I sang and promoted. I prayed for you on Fox 5. That was really exciting. I did full co-hosting at Magic with Vic Jagger and Huggy and Cheryl Jackson show. So I've been on a press run in addition to preparing for the Some Way Somehow musical, and it's been a lot of work. But that Fox time was really cool. I did quote you when they were talking about the impact of my song and the message during this season. And I was just like, listen, as my good sister Eunice Elliott, who happens to be the co-host of my new podcast, The Hope in Between, plug.
Plug, plug, plug.
Um, I said, she said it. She said it so well. Goodness is the baseline. The reason we often get hung up on the negatives is because they come at random. But every single time, the fact of the matter is, goodness will always outweigh the bad. So let's
Mm-hmm.
lock into that. And that's how you get your joy, beautiful people. So I prayed for you that you would be mindful of such and celebrate the goodness that is abundant in our reality. And so when I said that, then the guy's like, "Oh, I know Eunice." And it was like it was so funny. It was so funny when he said that. And I'm like, Eunice knows a lot of folks.
You know what? I find that out often. I never think about it until I know people. I know Marissa too because she used to be on the air here in Birmingham when I was on the air in Birmingham
Got it.
before she went to DC.
I wonder if a lot. Did you know Chauncey Glover?
I met him briefly in Los Angeles last year when he first got to Los Angeles.
Okay, because he's from Alabama, I believe.
Yeah, he's from Northern Alabama.
Yeah, well, and rest in peace to Chauncey Glover, news correspondent. Is that what we call it? News anchor or news
News anchor,
correspondent?
yeah.
Yeah, news anchor, very brilliant, worked really hard in the community for young Black boys, helping to empower and enrich their lives and helping them to see their value and worth. It was a powerful program, the Chauncey Glover Project. He recently passed
Mhm.
unexpectedly, and yeah, but I notice a number of people when I like mention different names, everybody knows everybody. Like y'all are
Yeah, well,
definitely a
there's an
community.
organization called the NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists. But
Yeah,
even beyond having an organization where you go to the annual conventions and you network and meet people, so much of being a news anchor is different markets. And so you may be working in Idaho and then you meet someone that used to be in Houston and then you meet somebody
yeah,
else that was in North Carolina. And so it all becomes kind of familiar. And then as a Black person in it, the numbers are that much smaller, and so you probably do know each other, or at least have heard of each other for sure.
yeah, absolutely. So that's been really cool actually to do a few interviews and I say your name and they're like, I know Eunice. Tell Eunice I said, hey, from Griff to DC, you are known and beloved.
Oh, well, thank you.
That's a
I
great
will
feeling.
receive that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wanted to say, I was thinking about what we were going to talk about this week, and I love that you quote me with the goodness is the baseline. Um, and what you just said was that the negative stuff comes and we give more energy to it because it happens and it kind of takes us off guard, but we don't realize that good is the baseline. Um, what I'm working on now is like if I could not fail at anything, what does that look like? So when you're thinking about whether it's business, whether it's a new album, whether like when you're thinking about what you're doing next, are you aware of how you think about it? Are you thinking about all the things that could go wrong or all the challenges that will present themselves or all the things that you need to be worried about? Or do you stay strictly focused on best case scenario?
I definitely think of it all.
Okay.
And I think of it all to great degree, but I often think that if I'm going to do it, I have to have enough reasons on why it will be successful before I do it versus if I think the negatives are more, the potential negatives, which is it's all hypothetical.
Right.
It's all projection and assumption. It's never fully absolute anyway.
Right.
But usually I'll weigh those before I leap or jump. Um, but I have found if you want to do it, just do it. And I'm often rewarded for it. It's kind of wild,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the question again, as you said it, is what would your life look like if you didn't think you could fail? What would your life look like if you didn't think you could fail? Woo!
So what is that? So that's the thing that I think so many times people offer themselves the idea of failure as the reason of why they won't try. And it can be something as innocuous as like, "Oh, I won't buy a plant because I can't keep them alive." And it's like or you can figure out how to keep one alive. And we do it all the time. I don't want to leave at this time because then I'll be in traffic. I don't want to. And so some of it is preparation and being cognizant of a situation, but a lot of times the way we think of what we will pursue is based on our attachment to it not being successful.
That's right. The it became a trendy topic and trendy self-diagnosis, this imposter syndrome um, concept. And basically, it's the not feeling qualified for the spaces you enter, and the self-doubt, the self-questioning. Um, I wrestle with that a lot more than I realized. As courageous of a person as I am, as ambitious as a person as I am, I definitely often kind of wrestle with, once I land in the spaces, how did I get here? Did you manipulate something? Did you do
Mm,
something to be in this space? And I know that I could probably conquer a lot more in life if I didn't give failure a thought.
mm. All of us. Yeah. Now I can tell you, I do not suffer from imposter syndrome. And I remember, yeah, a few years ago, it's like that was just kind of the catchphrase that people would throw out there.
Yeah.
I think the reason why I don't suffer from imposter syndrome is because I am so clear in the fact that no one knows what they're doing ever. So if anything, I have the opposite of imposter syndrome. I feel like I know as much as anybody else here. I mean, y'all making it up too. So why shouldn't I be here making it up? But I feel like what I tend to suffer from and what I do or do not pursue, especially well, I guess professionally and personally, I suffer from an obscene amount of indifference. I'm kind of like, I could pursue this thing and I believe it would go well and I believe I would be successful, but I don't feel like doing that right now. And that's what I struggle with. I am very
Wow.
indifferent. Even on this tour I'm on, I'm the opening act, and 99.99% of the audience have never heard of me. Like I said, most of them aren't comedy fans, or they would not have heard of me
Yeah.
based on these cities we're going to. And
Yeah.
so many people come up to me after the show and they're like, "Oh my god, you should headline. I would watch you for an hour. Oh, I will watch you, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah. Who wants to do that for an hour?" You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah,
I'm very
you
like,
gotta hang. It that's so interesting. We are polar opposites on that, because I do know that, for me, I believe that I'm great at what I do. I believe you know that you're great at what you do. And I believe that in my greatness, it is meant for an audience to be able to receive and enjoy it and bask in it. Like, it was meant to lift people. So it has to go forth. Whereas
mm,
with you, you're like, well, if I do it, I do it. If I don't, I
yeah.
don't.
If you
And
were there at lunch, you
such
heard
is
me
life.
say it. If you came to the show, you heard it. But if you didn't, I'm, I'm fine with it. And that's what I want to push past, because I don't know if and like I said, I can tell I have a unique thought process in talking to other creatives and artists about this. Is not imposter syndrome, and I actually believe it would go exactly as I would hope for it to go. But it feels inconvenient. I don't know. It feels inconvenient to be the greatest version of myself. It feels like, as tired as I am right
Woo,
now,
no.
I think a lot of people suffer from that. When somebody says, "How are you doing?" and you say, "I'm doing the best I can." How often is that true? Like, how often can you literally say you are doing the best that you can? I don't. I very rarely do the best I can. I do pretty okay. I do enough. Right. And so now, as I'm taking accounting of the year and my plans and who I want to develop in as a person and as a human, I'm like, man, what if I put forth the effort that I find inconvenient? What would that look like?
Oh my gosh, your life would be incredibly awesome,
Hmm.
incredibly epic. I dare you. I dare you to lean into that, to give it one day at a time a try, to move in that, because as I even said, anytime I mention your name and somebody knows who you are, it is how incredible you are. It is not, oh yeah, I know you. It's, they just go on and on about Eunice. And I'm like, she's that dope. Like, she's that
Oh,
dope.
that's
And
sweet.
so imagine,
And so that for
imagine
me
if your
is like,
output,
I know. And it has never affected me in that way. And so that's what's so crazy is I see people reacting and responding and saying what's next and when will you and why don't you, and I'm just like, well, I mean, it, and so I want to get past my indifference about things, about my talent, about my gifts, about my abilities, about my resources, about, and it's not that I take it for granted at all, because the reason, and I check in, the reason why I know I don't take my gifts for granted is because I'm thankful every time I talk to people who don't have the gift. And I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't imagine walking around like that. So I'm very grateful for the person I am. Okay. I get it. I get reminded all the time, girl, you
I
different. You
think our
special.
upbringings,
And I want to lean
I
into it.
think
I
our
do. I do. I want to
upbringings,
figure that out.
I think our upbringings have a lot to do with it because while I believe you kind of grew up with one other sibling, but y'all are it's a huge age gap, correct?
No, no, it's three siblings. It's four of us total, two girls, two boys. Um, I'm 4 years
Oh,
younger than my oldest sister, 3 years younger than my oldest brother, and 4 years older than my youngest brother.
oh Lord.
Have we met?
Oh,
Hi,
okay.
have we met? I'm
I
the
don't know
third of
why.
four.
No, I definitely thought you mentioned something about kind of growing up as an only child, but maybe I'm completely off
Oh, you know
and
what? Now, a lot of
still
people assume,
delirious.
a lot of people think I'm the only child, but that's just the way I present. I present as if I am the only. People are always surprised that I have siblings
Okay.
that I grew up with, and they're like, "Oh, I thought you were an only child. Are you the baby?" I'm like, "No," but I present. But that speaks to what I'm saying. I have never been attached to someone else's existence as far as who I am. You know, some people have the baby syndrome or they have the oldest daughter syndrome. You know, I've always been a fully realized person. So when I come into the room, I feel like this is it, right? I very rarely feel attached to someone else in the story, whatever the story might be. Does that make sense?
Wow. And it seems like we what we do have in common, which I didn't realize until this moment, was that we kind of like are the middle children to some degree. um, which
Mm-hmm.
often is we have to find our identity and ride in with it because we can often be lost in the shuffle. And so it's either we believe completely in ourselves or we don't at all. And I know
Mm-hmm.
for myself, I kind of ride the wave of I believe in myself. I know that I have what it takes, but I also kind of move in a space having so many siblings where it's like, I'm doing it too, guys. I would love to hear your cosign. I would love to hear you're doing great as I do for everybody else. So I kind of live
Mm.
not for the applause, but for the accountability and agreement, like, yes, major, yes, you're doing it, we're with you. I I wish I could only exist where I could care less about anybody else caring, but it's tough for
Mm-hmm.
me. It's tough for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, and I think most people are more like you than me. I feel like somehow, some way, like I said, I experience people, my friends, the conversations, and I'm always like, huh, I don't think that, huh, I don't feel that, and so it causes me to kind of retreat and say, now, what has caused you to feel or think this way? Because you seem to be kind of not the norm on this idea, of
Yeah.
things. And a lot of times I can usually, connect the dots and say, oh, I think because of this right here, and then that right there, and then that right there. But I think, so I'm going to tell you some. So being the third of four kids, and my whole
Yeah.
family, aunts, cousins, uncles, everybody, mom, dad, everybody is very loud, gregarious. Like, we're a loud, talkative, laughing family. Okay. So
Yes, same.
my personality matches my family. So when I started going out into the world and I would meet people who couldn't tell a story or weren't attached to entertaining me at all times, I was like, who are these people? Who raised these people? Right. And it was a shock to me. I remember my sister, she's been married 31 years now. I
Yeah.
remember when I was trying to date and I went out with some guy and God, he was so boring. And I said to my sister, I said, he's just so uninteresting. He never says anything funny. And my sister said, well, Eunice, you have to realize everybody wasn't raised in a comedy camp. And I'm like, what?
Ooh.
because we would put on shows for each other. We would play this game called I Bet You Can't Make Me Laugh. I mean, me and my siblings, we live to entertain each other, and so
So
we also
y'all are very much like the Wayans.
very much, very much. And I think that's why Marlon and I gravitated to each other so immediately. It's just like, so if like you have my attention, I assume you are trying to entertain me. Right. And so let's say
Wow.
you just wanted to tell me what time it was. I'm thinking, you got my attention for that? I'm bothered. I'm what do you, and because it's
Yo.
so bad, I think it does cause me to be a little antisocial. It's a little bit of, and I do entertain myself. I keep myself very entertained, but because my whole family is like this, I didn't feel special in the context of, oh, you're a unique, funny, interesting, reflective talent.
Wow.
I
Okay.
just,
I've always been the funniest. I've
okay.
always been the one with the most I don't want to say impressive, but that's only because I can't think of another term. I've always been the like, oh, he's really good
You've always been the
at
show pony, the show dog.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So they're just like, oh, or they'll be like, do it like Major. So then it
Uh-huh.
pisses the rest of my siblings off because they're like, Major's not the only one that can do it.
Right.
And I have super talented siblings. So that's another frustration because I know how talented they are. But what happens is they're just like putting the often it can happen where there's a comparison of do what Major just did, you
Hmm.
know?
Well, see, I don't know that
Wow.
my siblings feel comparison, but I will say my siblings are talented. And, like I said, when people meet my family, they always say, oh my God, y'all are all the same. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't raise myself in the woods. I didn't hatch and just raise myself. I'm like the people that raised me. And maybe that's where my indifference comes in. They have pursued their talents in certain ways and have had certain successes. Um, and maybe haven't fully committed to the point that I've committed. But then I could even say to myself, I don't feel overly committed to it either, And so that
Wow.
just might be how we are, that I've committed
That's
more
such
than
a
they have.
flex.
Is it a
That's
flex?
such a
Okay,
flex.
so let me
Yes,
tell you this.
absolutely.
So let me tell you this. This is
Absolutely
a
a
true
flex.
analogy, and I give this analogy, and I can't believe I'm about to say this to you on the air, but I'm going to say this. Okay. So this is why I really want to challenge our listeners to think about what's like this for them in their lives, right? Because we all are
Okay.
just kind of the same thing. Okay, so this is what I feel about my personality, my talent, my abilities, my gifts. This is what I feel about it. I feel like when you're potty trained and you are taught how to sit on the toilet, you are also taught how to wipe, you are taught how to flush, you are taught how to wash your hands, and you have an understanding that everybody has been potty trained, right? So you don't go around bragging about being potty trained, right? You're just like, hey, this is what we all have grown up to do. Well, one day, this is the example I give. One day, I forget to flush the toilet. And someone goes into the restroom after me and they say, wait, who just left out of the bathroom? I'm immediately embarrassed. Oh my God, did I forget to flush the toilet? Their question is, why are there diamonds in the toilet? And I say, there's not diamonds. I just used the bathroom. I'm sorry. I meant to flush. And they say, no, these are diamonds. And I go and I look at what I think everybody is pooping out, and everybody else is gathered around and saying, have you been flushing diamonds the whole time? And I'm like, yeah.
Wow.
They're not diamonds to me. It's just what people do, right? That's just part of you. And so I have challenged myself through the years. When I came up with this analogy for myself, I have got to stop flushing my diamonds. I got to stop flushing my diamonds.
Well, okay, so that was quite an interesting illustration to use
But
to
did you
drive
get
home
it?
the point,
Did you
but I
get it?
do now get it. I do now get it, and I think that that is what it is. And that I will say is something that you do have to register and do better with, because I do believe there is a lot of excellent output that you give that you don't give a moment to relish in. Like you don't take moments to sit there for a while. Now I do know that when we talk sometimes, and when we have our little recaps, you'll say, oh, I thought it was really nice, they supported my books, I sold out of my books. And I'm like, well, dang right, you're gonna sell out of your books. You freaking killed it. That's what
Mm.
happens when you kill it.
Right.
People want more from you. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's probably a balance of, of the getting full of yourself because you understand how great you are, and the indifference of, I mean, God made us all great.
That's
But
the
I
thing.
think
Okay,
I
so that's what it is. It's the
yeah,
indifference of God made us all great. That is
yeah,
that is my challenge. And sometimes my mom will say to me, when we've had these, because this has been me my whole life. I've been this way. And I'm like, well, everybody's
yeah,
special. Everybody's talented. Everybody's gifted. And my mom is like, "Not everybody ain't." And I'm like, well, no, I
not
feel
the
like
same. You're right.
right. And so that's the thing is my indifference is, hey, everybody is really great at something. And if I have found what I'm great at, that was the assignment, right? Find what you're great at and then do that. That was the assignment. So I'm turning my homework in every day. I might not be on honor roll. I might not be on dean's list, but I'm completing the assignment. And so now I'm kind of like, okay, I'm completing the assignments. I'm getting a passing grade. What would it look like if I studied harder? What would it look like if I applied this? What would it look like if I took on extra credit? What would that look like?
Oh, it would be sensational. As Future's meme says, sensational. Listen, I do believe that you have the it for sensation perpetually. And I think it's high time for you to lean into it. I think it's high time for you to relish in it, to celebrate it a little bit more, and give pause for the cause, like have some moment to allow it to breathe and astonish people. um I know one thing for myself now. I'm finding myself, well, actually, let me take a pause to celebrate what I just said about you, because that's the fact of the matter, Eunice. The fact of the matter is you are sensational on many different planes. Like you operate in a wow factor that is somewhat effortless for you, but it is effortful because you're actually doing the work. It's like, yeah, the expectation is to do it well, so I'm just going to
Right.
do it well.
Right. And so that's why when I think of what would my life look like if I didn't think I could fail, I don't know if I don't do things because I think I would fail. I think I don't do things because I think I would succeed and then I'd have to do it. I think,
And then it'll
yeah,
take more work from you.
right.
Well, I know that in my life I have experienced a great deal of getting so close to it, and it doesn't necessarily happen the way that I expect it. And I know that my output was brilliant.
Mhm.
So it frustrates me to know that what I just gave is not the winning ticket.
Mm.
But it's this perspective shift that comes upon me in my hope mindset that
Mhm.
says, no, perhaps you put the win in a box for the win to only look a certain way. And that's when I started shifting perspective to say, wait a minute, sometimes the win is being able to shoot in the particular room that you're in or on the court that you're in. Sometimes the win is being able to be considered in the lineup of the things. Um, I'm an extreme achiever.
Mhm.
And for me, I don't want to experience failure, but I know it's a part of life. It's a part of what it is. And it goes back to, I think, our first or second episode when the word no, I said the rejection piece, that I've, you know, redefined no as an acronym for next one. Because
Mhm.
if it ain't this one, we gonna get the next one.
Right.
And but I definitely think I need to lessen my anxiety or intensity meter when it comes to the fear of failure.
Right, because
Like,
because you have
yeah,
to think about the word failure itself can have so many different meanings and connotations. It's unique to each person, right? Somebody might feel like they're a failure because they only made $1 million this year, instead of 10 million or whatever. I think for me, the only failure is in not trying. Now, if you try it, and
Oh,
like you said, you put out some brilliant work, that's the win. To me, the win is, man, I did that, right? And I can't wait to be able to tell this story about how these people slept on it. And then I still got the win because it's brilliant work. I think, as an actress and having gone on 10 trillion auditions and not having booked one millionth of those roles, yeah, it's frustrating because it becomes, I find that my frustration is very rarely attached to, oh, I wanted that role, I wanted to be in that project. My frustration tends to be, I took off work to do this, I sat in traffic for this, I could have been, I'm usually more frustrated about what I had to do to try versus the try. um that's only maybe one or two
wow.
things that I've ever auditioned for that I actually was like really disappointed that I didn't get it. um and even in that, I don't know, have I ever told that Black Panther story? The NDA, I'm sure, is over
You
now. I'll
auditioned
tell
for
this
Black
Black Panther
Panther?
story. So
Oh, wow.
there was an NDA involved. So let's just say I it was a Marvel project. Okay, Marvel Studios, and I had to sign an NDA to even do the audition. And so I do the audition. I'm so excited. Marvel Studios. Oh my God, this is huge. And then I got a call back. And now I'm like, I got a call back from Marvel Studios. Like, this is it. I'm making it. So basically, it was for a project produced by Ryan Coogler that was going to be on Disney Plus, but a spinoff from Black Panther. Okay, basically, short version. So I didn't book it. I didn't get it. When Black Panther 2 came out, and it was a very emotional movie because Chadwick Boseman had passed away. And, at the end, it's very emotional. Black Panther's gone. And I'm crying just like most people in the theater. And at some point mid cry, I realized I was crying because I wasn't in it. And I said, get up and walk out. Because nobody else in here thought they were supposed to be in this but you. So that's a win.
But
I won.
Eunice,
I won.
that is a win. That is a win. But you don't know if there was other people that wanted to be in that and were crying for that. But
No.
you are right that it's like the majority of the people that are crying right now are not crying because they weren't in it.
Yeah, I'm saying I was watching it in Birmingham, Alabama, and I'm like, you know what? I'm the only one in here crying because I ain't in this movie.
Eunice, I have seen movies that I've auditioned for, and I'm like, seriously, I know that I could have done that way better, and I know what I sent was better, and I'd be like saying the words with them, and I just like,
I don't think I've ever done that. When I see stuff I audition for, I think, I guess. I mean, I have
I
never.
will say I have seen when a person I was rightly casted for a
Uh,
part I didn't get, and I'm like, okay, they did that. They better be glad they killed
so I
that.
do mostly commercial auditions, and I promise you, it's probably about 80% of commercials that are on the air right now I auditioned for. And when I see the commercial and I know the jingle, I know the song, I know the da da da, I usually roll my eyes just because I'm thinking of it as that would have been a great check. I'm never really attached to, oh, I wanted to be singing about diabetes. I never feel that.
Ah!
I
Can
got
you
type 2
grow up?
diabetes and I manage it well. There's this little pill with a big story to tell. My point is,
Ah!
if my agent sends me one more diabetes medication commercial,
I
we gonna
haven't
have a
had a
fight.
commercial. I haven't had a commercial audition in so long, but I know what you're talking about. It's so many of them that you go out for, and it's like, okay, guys, let's.
Right. And so I don't get that upset about it. It's like it's a look. I understand they're looking for a look. Look, I understand I'm almost 50 and I don't read as 50. And so a lot of times I don't get books because I'm just reading as
You
too
don't
young.
read as 50. You don't read as 50.
So it's just
Um,
like, okay, whatever. I'm like, well, I'm tall, and so I'm taller than all the co-stars, and
yeah, you have to
and
figure out that
I have
that
a
work
list of reasons why.
because most
Couldn't have
of them
been
are
my
five
acting
nine, like
ability.
five. Most of them are 5'8", like myself, and you're just like towering over us in your heels, and they're like,
Just a little
"Ma'am,
bit.
ma'am, can you take your shoes off, please?"
Ma'am, can you sit down, please? And
And it
so
sucks because when they see my frame, they're like, "Oh my gosh, he's the ideal black man," and then when they see my height, they're like, Well, there he is.
No, you know what? So I am not against short men. Let me say this, but let me tell you what I am
Listen,
against.
I never said I was short.
Okay, well, your average height, right?
I'm borderline average height, you jerk.
No, okay, so your average height for a man,
Yeah.
and I am above average height for a man. So, so here's the thing.
Yes, you are.
I never have any issues with average height men. I do tend to take exception though when tall men are with short women. I get annoyed.
It's so funny.
I'm like, that is such a waste of man. Go get you a nice 5'8" king, girl. Then leave the 6-footers to the rest of us.
Yeah, yeah. My wife got her 5'8" king right here, and
There
I'm
you
just waiting.
go. There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want you to think about what failure means for you, because is it different depending on the situation? Is it I would think in something like singing and music and
Eunice,
artistry.
I am Grammy, 2-time Soul Train, 8-time Image Award, Stellar, Dove nominated.
Okay.
All of those nominated. I am
Congratulations.
exhausted. I am when I tell you I am so grateful for every nomination, and that is a win on the level of nominations.
Right.
But there's another level of taking home a trophy,
Mhm.
of which I believe I'm qualified to take home the trophy for, and I have not taken home the trophy. And it is the weirdest feeling because I'm just like, I know how good and strong I am as a candidate, as
Mhm.
a nominee, as a competitor in this space. Like, I'm not terrible, and I'm a critic. I'm a critic. I know when there's moments that it's okay. Like I didn't get nominated this year for a Grammy for certain submissions that I submitted because I had to submit the remixes and not the originals. And the remixes are cool, but they're not as great as the originals. But I didn't, my feelings weren't hurt because while I knew it was still great, I knew it wasn't my best to where that's what represented me. But when I know I'm putting up my best and I don't hook a nomination, a win, let alone a nomination, it hits me different. It hits me different, and
So
I
it's
do
very
get
literal for
emotional
you.
because
It's
I'm
very
like,
literal because think about it. So in my line of work, primarily comedian, there's no award, right? I'm not looking to be
yeah.
nominated. I mean, they make up different awards. I actually have an award over here for funniest person in Birmingham, Alabama. But anyway, the point is, no
Are you
matter
serious?
what, if yeah, it's right over there. Yeah. But, here's my point about the nomination versus the award. Um, and I feel like I saw Neil Patrick Harris say this, the guy that played Doogie Howser. He said, this business, entertainment, is always set up on you not feeling like you're not good enough. So if you don't get the nomination, if you get the nomination, if you get the nomination, you don't get the win. You get the win, you're not invited to that after party. You're invited to that after party, you're not photographed on the red carpet. You're not, it's always something that whatever you get, there's still going to be something that you're going to say, I didn't get, that tends to get most of your energy and attention, because that's the
The
thing I didn't
goalpost
get. And
keeps
it'll
moving.
always
Yeah.
be that it'll always be steps to what you weren't invited to, what you weren't nominated for, what you did when, think about how many people have won. Well, not how many people, but a lot of the Black people who have won Academy Awards, and they thought that was going to be the beginning of a whole new career. And they still sitting there like, well, wait a minute now. I thought if I had this recognition and this acknowledgement, that would mean that. And it didn't.
Eunice, I agree. I agree, Eunice. I agree. I agree. I agree. But Eunice, I want to walk away with a trophy and make my grand speech that I've been practicing since I was 9 years old. I want to be able to say, I want to thank God. I want to thank my mama. I've been at this for a long time, you guys. I have literally adjusted the words to fit every new year of not getting a win so that it is authentic, it is heart stirring, it is
Oh
moving, and
my.
I'm just like,
Oh.
They're not calling me for this win. I am up. I will make a plea. Beautiful people that are on the nominating review committee for the NAACP Image Awards. We have submissions for your consideration. I did not expect to make this about a plug, but I'm going to ask
Go for
now.
it. Go for it.
I prayed for you.
Mm.
My New Hope anthem is up for gospel inspirational song. My video for I prayed for you is up for best outstanding music video. Our podcast, The Hope in Between, is up for podcast lifestyle self-help podcast. Beautiful people. I couldn't even say it right. Vote for us and vote again so we can take a trophy.
Oh my word. Listen, okay. I believe all the awards that you could dream of are available and already have your name etched on them. But what I would love for you to do is not ever think about them again. Because I think chasing that butterfly is why that butterfly keeps flying around. I think if you just sit down and
That's
it just lands
exactly
on your
it, Eunice.
nose.
Eunice, you are talking right. More recently, I have run into people of your kind that are just like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Right.
And life is still good and life still moves. And I have literally seen them experience the prayers that they've prayed be answered. And it's like an unfolding of the accolades and the things. Like one guy said, the moment I stopped wanting it, I got it.
100%.
The moment I stopped, only needing it, it happened. And I was like, how do I get to that place?
You
And
have
and
got
so
to get there. Well, let me help you get there. Let
I
me tell
want
you,
to,
let me
because
say
I don't
something
want to
about
stress myself anymore with that. It's an
right. But
emotional
understand you're taking a lot of the
stressor.
fun and the blessing out of it. Okay, so listen, let me help you with this. Okay,
Yeah.
you know you are an extreme talent. You're an amazingly gifted songwriter, but you also know that your music moves people's hearts. And if you never won a physical award for that, to know that you are able to present yourself, your authentic self, your heart, your spirit in such a way that strangers and millions of people across the planet are able to receive, that is beyond a trophy. That is people that have
Yeah.
listened to your music. Let's say your latest single, I Pray for You. The fact that people will cry just
Yeah.
by hearing the song because it wells up such a true, authentic emotion and sentiment and a prayer. When I hear it, I'm praying that people are praying for me. I know who I'm praying for. I'm praying for all of us. And it's this thing where everybody's not able to do that. And so if you imagine
Mm-mm.
that at the end of this particular life assignment, if if you have to have a conversation about how did you manage yourself and your gifts, if you even think that you gonna say, well, I ain't win no Grammys. No, you're gonna say, I sang to the
I've
masses,
missed
I
out on a lot of
uplifted people.
goodness that is abundant before me. Can I say
Yeah.
this? There are two things that you
The
said.
abundance
The
that
first,
is the
because it's
only thing that
easier.
matters. That's all that matters, right?
There's two things that
Okay.
you said that I want to give credit to and amplify, and that is one, you try, you fail, you try, you fail. But true failure only comes when we stop trying. You
Mm-hmm.
try, you fail, you try, you fail, but the only true failure is when you stop trying. And I remember Eddie Murphy saying this in the movie Haunted Mansion years ago, and it hit me because I was like, oh, wow. So the fail is a part of life. Failure is when you stop living, it's when you stop the try. And so I want to amplify that. And the second thing is, you're right in, if I get caught up in the one thing being the qualifier as a win, I will miss out on the abundance orbiting around me of wins that happen every time I choose to show up in life and to show up fully and show up
Mhm.
well. And I was brought back to this moment that I had when I was literally like, God, I prayed to you. I literally asked you, could I impact millions of people? And I have worked really hard. And why does it feel like it's nothing but an uphill? I'm just continuously climbing up a mountain to make impact. And literally, I was brought to this message that I wrote on my wall, and it's actually right here behind my computer. It says, Major, you are an international force and vessel of love, light, and hope. You will reach and inspire millions. You will influence the world to smile and know love again. In Jesus' name, that was my prayer. Now, I'm asking God, why hasn't this happened yet? And literally, it was like this moment of think it has and it is. And literally, things started recalling in my mind as I think about why I love you. When I said an international force and vessel, over 160 million streams alone on YouTube that are not limited to the United States of America. I have reached many different people. I said, I'm going to be a force and vessel of love, light, and hope. And I just started recalling, and I'm like, yo, bro, you were expecting the packaging of the win to look a certain way. Open your eyes
Mhm.
to see that the winds are all around you. The winds are all around you. So, yes, it is beyond a trophy, which I would love to be able to hold one day, but it is certainly not limited to the holding of that thing because there is so much more that is much more valuable. To have the trophy and not impact, that ain't the goal. To have
Right.
my name called
Let me
and
offer
not
let me offer you
inspired,
this. Let me
that
offer
ain't
you
the
this.
goal.
Yes, let me offer you this. Since you didn't like my toilet analogy, let me give you this. It's like the trophies, that's something man made up. They have their system set up, right? I feel like you looking at the trophy is like you looking at a skyscraper or you aiming for the penthouse. And what's really available for you is the mountaintop.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
A man built the skyscraper. The
You
mountaintop
preaching.
is in the heavens. So
Stop playing with
we
me.
going for
Stop playing
mountaintops.
with
We
me.
not going for
Come
what a
on,
man can
God.
give us.
Come on.
That's all I'm saying. You mean to tell me?
We're
No,
aiming
I'm being
for
for
this.
real.
We're aiming for the skyscraper and the penthouse when God has a mountaintop for us. Come on, you
What are we
talking
talking
right.
about?
You
So that's what
talking
I'm saying to
right.
you. My indifference comes from anything that I'm chasing that's based on what you guys have presented to me is something y'all made up. That ain't got nothing to really do with me. And
Hmm.
so did I what was I a good person today? Did I laugh today? Did I love today? Did I show up as the best version of myself today? Well, baby, that's a win. I go to sleep and I sleep well off of that. Now that's what I said. That's kind of my challenge, is because I am so attached to I don't have to be the headliner. I don't have to have a special. I don't have to be famous. I don't have any attachment to any of that stuff, but I'm also curious as to, well, what if I tried a little bit and lean into that? What would that look like? I would only do it to the point that I stopped enjoying it. And so that's what I'm saying. We get conditioned to try to get straight A's. We get conditioned to have the big house, the nice car, and Steve Jobs is very, very dead and still has so much money in the bank. So it can't be based on something that man made up that you are aiming for. Imagine how many people sing. Imagine how many people write songs. I imagine how many people will love for anybody to listen to their music, let alone 160 million. Imagine
So,
how many people wish that their song was a song that when people are trying to solidify their love, that we got to have this one song because this is a song that represents this for so many people. And you talking about a trophy?
but I didn't get that. And you know what's wild? Because I remember submitting that song for my Grammy, my first Grammy submission, and it didn't even get nominated. And I was just so confused because I'm like, it's this song is bigger than every single song that was nominated this year. What's going on?
So you shouldn't be
And
attached to that.
no,
That's what I'm
but that's okay.
saying.
That's okay. But listen, listen. Let me give it. You're gonna be proud of me to a degree.
Okay.
So in the
Okay.
moment, I was crushed. It hurt me. I didn't like it. And then I remember the next year saying, "I'm not submitting anything because I can't go through this disappointment. I don't want this feeling." And I remember not submitting that year. And then the following year, I submitted my song Honest, which talks about just being human and that broken is what makes us human, you know? And that was the song that got me my first Grammy nomination. Not my biggest song ever, but my second biggest song. And then I remember then having a different relationship with the need for qualification and validation being a trophy when I realized that sometimes life is not going to give this to you the way that you think. Because then Why I Love You goes gold and then platinum. And it's like, so what are we looking for?
Right.
You know, platinum pays the bills.
Mhm.
The trophy looks like you probably get paid, but doesn't mean you do. And
Right.
so it's just it's a dance with it. But we're coming to a close, and I want to just say this was good. This episode was good, not only for me, but for you, I'm sure, as you're challenging me not to make the need for those trophies or the need for the wins as man would, you know, set as a standard or as a bar be my goal, but also for you to start leaning and relishing in the sensation that you are, understanding that you are pooping diamonds, and don't
Thank you.
flush
Thank you for
before
that.
you at least acknowledge them.
Yes.
And and for the listener to be reminded how special you are and uniquely crafted and designed you are for a specific need in the earth. When we live chasing down trends and the comparison of others, you live an unfulfilled life. Because at the end of the day, life was intended for you in your fullness and your beauty to be an answer to a specific need in the earth. When we chase down trends or when we chase down trying to mimic what we've seen work, we chase down already answered needs, leaving the one our life was meant to answer unanswered. And that's where the unfulfillment comes into play. So, beautiful people, live as though failure was never an option. And even if it was, you will never know unless you go. This, beautiful people, is the hope in between with my good sister, Eunice Elliott. My name is Major, my mama's favorite hope dealer, and I hope to see you next week.